9:19 exactly. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. And we're now going to be talking with Gauteng Provincial leader of Jama-ah, and that is you, Abubakr Thapelo Amad. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. And we understand that the City of Johannesburg caucus has pressed charges of theft against the executive mayor of Johannesburg, Councillor Mpho Phalatse, at Hillbrow police station. So let's understand what exactly happened here, who caught the councillor red-handed, and then who and why did the matter get reported to the Hillbrow police station.
Okay, thank you so much. It's true that we went to press charges yesterday at the Hillbrow police station because Hillbrow police station is the one that services the sector or that particular region. So amongst the other questions is that who held the councillor or the executive mayor red-handed, stealing or rather taking away what belongs to us. Nobody caught the councillor or the executive mayor, but by virtue of her occupying that particular office as an employer as well, and as the number one resident in the city of Johannesburg. So on those basis, we are charging her on vicarious liability because she issues instructions. She's in a position of power. So if you would remember the sequence of event, I think Salam Media was part of the unveiling of the statue of Yasser Arafat in a form of a protest in the city of Johannesburg, where as a party we declared the city of Johannesburg to be a free apartheid zone. So, and we also understand her public sentiments and her caucus, or rather the political party sentiments on the conflict of Israel and Palestine, where she was once suspended as an MMC, not as an individual, but she was suspended as an MMC because she had put the city into disrepute on her public stance, where she said the city of Johannesburg is a friend of Israel. And over and above that, she didn't apologize. She was never apologetic, rather, on her personal sentiments on the issue because she's still pro that sentiment. However, ours was not based on that, but ours was we were demonstrating, we were protesting. We have a constitutional right to protest, to demonstrate. However, for as long as we do not infringe on other people's rights, or we have a right to also use public spaces and the likes. So this was our indication, because when you follow the city of Johannesburg, the two first council under the DA-led administration, they collapsed to an extent that it was alleged that councillors are disruptive, and this is the reason why the council didn't hold its decorum. But that wasn't an indication or the true reflection of the truth. We know that the house belongs to the speaker belongs to the DA. This is why council collapsed. And over and above that, the militarization of the precinct of council, where you deploy JMPD to come and intimidate councillors so that our democratic views are not heard, as opposed to you deploying JMPD to become pointsmen to direct traffic because there's a crisis, we don't have traffic lights. They need to enforce bylaws in the city of Johannesburg. They need to arrest, they need to issue traffic fines, and they need to make sure that the laws and orders of the city are held. So you deploy a massive quantity of JMPD officers in the precincts of council, where it's a free space for councillors to have a robust debate, to represent constitutionally so the people who have deployed them, our voters who sent us there to represent our issues. And we are being silent. So you'd also remember there was an incident where councillors walked into the chambers with shackles as an indication that our views are being suppressed in this particular space. So the statue was erected in commemoration first of the former president Yasser Arafat, and then secondly because he was an activist of apartheid, anti-apartheid activist, and he was pro anti-apartheid in our issues as South African because our issues resonate. Our issues are not far-fetched from each other; they are alike. So on those basis, we felt that he's the right figure, ceremoniously so, that can be erected there, and then as an indication of how do we want to protest and we want to put this apartheid in the city of Johannesburg to an end. And also the reason why we didn't rather um, the reason why we opened the charges, to be quite precise, is that we were not consulted, and we believe that as lawmakers, councillors, as lawmakers in the city of Johannesburg, where also bylaws are constituted. We were supposed, if there was anything wrong that we have done, I think the city should have followed due processes, particularly from the office of the mayor, to say, guys, this is, we feel that what you are doing is wrong, and one, two, three, we feel that it is wrong. Therefore, this is what has to be done. But that process has never followed, and our statue was taken away from where it was erected in the absence of our knowledge. It was erected on the 26th of January, 2022. And then the following day or a day after, it disappeared. But we didn't pursue the matter at the time because it could have been any other person who's passing by, or maybe the homeless people. So on the 7th of February, we had a lead to say your statue is somewhere hidden in the precinct of council, in the offices, in the city council. So we went there, we found it, and then this is why we felt that we should press the charges of theft.
Okay, Thapelo, let's ask the questions. I'm going to ask you 3 or 4 questions in a row, and you can then respond. Uh, Obviously, their argument or the argument of councillors or the executive mayor might be that city bylaws uh, were not um, were not followed, or city bylaws were broken by the statue being erected. And I think that was a question I put to the person I interviewed on the day that the statue was being placed. So that's one of the issues that they would raise. You talk about consultation, but it would be, and I play devil's advocate here, consultation both ways, from the part of Al Jama and then consultation by the councillors in question, or whoever gave the order that the statue then has to be removed. And has the mayor responded to the charges of theft that has been laid against her at the police station?
Thank you so much. So the first question on the issue of bylaws. Remember, one, we also indicated on the same day when we were interviewed by Salam Media to say this is a protest. And I also indicated that the how part of the protest is neither here nor there. However, when people are protesting, there's no timelines. Remember, democratically, we are governed by the constitution of the country, which allows individuals to contest. To protest. So you so when it comes to issues of bylaw, the public spaces, right? For provided that the number of people, the only question would be the number of people who are attending the picketing or the protest. If those people are less than 15, for argument's sake, they don't even have to apply, right? They don't have to go through the processes of applying for that particular picket or protest, for as long as there isn't any damage of property. So the statue, the message that has been disseminated through the statue, is the same message that could have been disseminated on the placards. I hope I'm making sense. So it's the same message that could have been disseminated on the placard. However, as for the duration, whether the willingness of removing the statue or was there or not, as the lawmaking body, they should have consulted, not rather just consulting, they should have written us the letter if we were contravening with any bylaws of the city. They need to write us a letter and say, guys, you are contravening with the laws of the city, so could you kindly remove your statue to this date? If that is not followed, then there has to be penalties. We need to be charged penalties. And over and above that, there has to be a court application by the city to apply in a court where if we do not want to remove that thing, or it could be an urgent court application. So that process was never followed, because had they came to us, whether the willingness of removing the statue is there or not there, but the question would have been, were you intending to remove the statue, and how long would have been the statue been there? But because of the sentiments that they have, they didn't even want to follow the court processes, because they would have been incriminated by their statements of being a pro-Israeli organization. This is why they had to steal, whether they went there physically as one bodies or they sent someone. This is why we are saying we are charging them on vicarious liability, because they could have sent someone, an instrument or an organ or their extension to play a dirty work on their behalf. I forgot the third question. Could you kindly
has the mayor responded at all via her legal team or perhaps directly?
Okay, so when we went to the police station, because this is a prominent figure, the colonel of Hillbrow police station recommended that there should be an inquiry first that should be opened before pressing charges, so that in case the police station is apprehending her wrongfully, so they shouldn't sue the state. So for now, at this stage, there's an inquiry that has been opened, and then I think maybe 2 days or 3 days, if the merits of theft are there, then they will then act accordingly. They will press the criminal charges, and then they will act according to the law.
Okay, the mayor could respond by saying, as Al Jama-ah had placed the statue in this particular precinct as a form of protest, they are doing exactly the same, and by way of their constitutional right, they are protesting by removing the statue. So you might have to contend with that. And I'm kind of wondering, has Al Jama-ah not set a precedent by, and with due respect, I'm all for the statue having been placed there as a sign of protest, but has a precedent not been set now for all and sundry to do as they will, as they wish in all public spaces? So I'm wondering about that. And I have a final question, but please first respond to these two questions and I'll get to my final question.
100%. Thank you so much. These are very interesting questions, and they are as robust as possible. So the first one would be, as the mayor, you are in government. You hold government, so you need to hold the decorum of government. You are a law. Your office represent the constitution of laws. You are a lawmaker. You are a policy maker. So you cannot do anything out of the framework of the law, right? And to add on that, I can just let me say something that is a little bit controversial. I live in the south of Johannesburg, just opposite Lenasia. So if you drive in the N12 or anywhere in Region G, in most areas in Region G, there's a mushrooming of informal settlement. And those informal settlement, those shacks, I'm answering to the precedents that you are making reference to. Those shacks, they emanated from the very same administration of the DA when it was led by Mayor Mashaba, where we saw a mushrooming of informal settlements, right? And the dehumanization of the people, not even being able to guide the people on what are the bylaws that needs to be followed, and people building shacks on wetlands, building shacks next to the streams, not following city bylaws, stealing electricity. Because remember, building shacks, it also creates burden on the city's infrastructure, electricity, water, the clinics. Those people need to go to the nearby clinics, where the clinics are on the brink of collapse as well, where adequate medical intervention, it's failing because of the number or the database being increased by this lawlessness. However, I am not promoting lawlessness. I'm just giving you this as a citation. What we did, we have a constitutional right to protest. But the how part, the constitution is silent on how should one protest. The constitution, it is explicit on if you are breaking the laws, if there is any law that was broken, the JMPD, because we didn't hide who are we didn't hide our protest, we didn't do our protest in darkness. So we were open about it. It was an open end. So if there was anything wrong that we've done at the time, or any contravention that we've done at the time, I've already indicated what are due processes that were supposed to have been followed. So it is her to argue. It is my word against theirs as the city, because she represents an office. She doesn't represent herself. We represent the constituency because we are in the opposition, and we oppose anything that we deem not fit for our community, or anything that we deem unjustifiable for our
Okay.
community.
All right, Thapelo, what I do want to say is you've raised a very interesting point there regarding these settlements, illegal, shanty towns, call them what you will. We do know that those are happening out of a very dire and desperate need of homeless people. That also possibly raises the other big issue regarding, the issue of land being, the land distribution issue. And I think that's an interview I'd like to leave for another time, and I'd like to pick your brain on that issue. So please just be prepared for it. It's going to happen sometime soon. Let's get back to the matter at hand. And so, where do we stand with this issue? I'm not sure that I agree with you when you say that a precedence hasn't necessarily been set here. I just kind of feel it just creates a whole host of other issues, but as I say, we're going to leave it for another time. Where to from here for the retrieval of the statue? Are you then going to follow due process once you get your hands back on the statue to find a suitable home for it? And what happens with the case now?
100%. As for the case, we will wait for the colonel to give us an indication on the development of the case. The statue, of course, yes, we will find a suitable space. But let me also register with you that during our negotiation processes of coalition government, remember their government, uh, they do not have numbers to hold the decorum, and then they needed us at the time in the absence of the EFF and the Patriotic Alliance. The reason why they approached us, it was that their the DA and their coalition partners, they are sitting at 1-3. They were sitting at 1-3-3 at the time, and then they only needed Al Jama-ah to have 1-3-6 so that they can put through critical decisions and council agenda. However, we've proposed to the DA to say, guys, the city of Johannesburg has a sister agreement, an MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding with the city of Ramallah, which is the city in Palestine, where the Palestinians have erected the statue of President Nelson Mandela for free. They've sponsored it because they recognize him as an iconic figure who's a liberator. Therefore, they had requested in return to say, we would love to have a mirror, projects that are mirror, that are mirror to each other, in a sense that cultural exchange, economic exchange, whatever that is done in Ramallah, the developments that are done in Ramallah could be done in Johannesburg, vice versa. So it was one of the fundamental discussion that we had. However, they downplayed it to say, no, this doesn't concern us as the city of Johannesburg, blah, 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 blah. So the reason why we are incriminating them on this particular issue, it is on the basis of their stance. Not that as the party Al Jama, we do not concern ourselves with the issues on the ground of the South Africans or the residents of the city of Johannesburg. We are very vocal about them in the city council, but however, we can never neglect the struggle of the Palestinians as humanitarians.
That's where we leave it. You're definitely a young and upcoming politician that needs to be watched and followed, inshallah. You obviously Gauteng Provincial leader of Al Jama, Abubakr Thapelo Amad. It's been wonderful talking to you, and inshallah we will hook up again to talk about the issue around informal settlements. I think that is a discussion that needs to be had and needs to be had very, very soon. Go well, keep us in your du'as, and salamu alaikum to you.
Thank you so much, Julie. Have a great day ahead.
9:40 exactly, news and views right here on Salam Media. Stay with us. We're going to be wrapping up with an interview with DA Member of Parliament, Advocate Glenys Breitenbach.